Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your Inside Track to Success. As always, I'm your host, Stewart Kraintz. Have another awesome guest for us today, and just going to jump right in and introduce him. He's somebody that is a stand for not only financial literacy and education, but also is somebody that is super big in the personal development space. Not only does he coach others on their finances, but he also is a leader, coaches people into bringing the best out of themselves in all walks of life. And I'm super excited to have my brother on the show, Jon Lavin, today. So, Jon, thank you for being here. And I want to just kick this off. I mean, you've been in your business for quite some time. I know a lot of the folks that listen to this show are the types of people that have entrepreneurial dreams, maybe are afraid to get their toe in the water. What supported you in getting started in creating Lavin Financial Group? And let's just go from there.
Wow. Well, first off, thank you. It's a privilege for you to ask me to be on. Everybody likes to everybody's favorite subject is themselves, right? So
Mhm.
someone asks you to speak about what you've done and what you're doing and what you believe in. It's really a cool feeling. So I want you to know how much I appreciate it, and I consider this a real opportunity and privilege. So I'm in business 44 years. 44 years. I have a hard time saying that. I started at 23, literally right out of college. I got in sales right out of college. I had big dreams. I was one of those kids that grew up in an area outside of Philadelphia where there was lots of big homes and lots of rich people, and not me, right? Not me. But I was around it, and then I became a golfer. I became a pretty good golfer, and worked at a country club and got around more rich people, and I found out they weren't any different than anybody else. They had mastered a craft, whether it was a profession like a doctor or a lawyer, or they were in sales, or they were business owners. And those were the people that I saw do what I wanted, which was they were golfing in the middle of the afternoon. When everyone else was working, they were showing up at the golf course. And so as a young person, I was, that really kind of it said, wow, how do I get that? How do I do that? What's that about? Right. And so I would pick everybody's brains as a kid, and business seemed like that's where sales and business is where I knew I was headed. I was not very great. I wasn't really great at school. I didn't really enjoy school. So I ended up with a mass communications degree after dropping out of the business school so that I could at least graduate with something. It took me 5 years, and I realized I was not going to make money as a professional golfer. I played college golf, but I've been a 0 to like 3 handicap still to this day. So I'm a accomplished golfer. I work at it, but the foundation of sports really helped me with the foundation of business. I
Nice.
found it was the same. It was based on fundamentals, and so I got recruited out of this company. I was selling door to door cookware and cutlery in my senior year of college, which wasn't going to be anything but experience. And I quickly I was introduced to the insurance and investment business, and fascinated by it, and really gravitated immediately to recruiting and training and developing people, working with people.
Mhm.
I knew that my ticket to success was developing others, duplication, the process of helping others learn what I learned. And I was in a system and a structure from my support company that allowed me to promote people. I wasn't threatened by their success. I was encouraged by their success, and my success actually became their success. So I
Mhm.
found the right place to plant my flag, and transformational work, self-improvement, personal development has just been part of my everyday life for all of these years. Starting back when I was 17, I went and I got to go see Werner Erhard at an EST seminar when I was
Wow.
17. Yeah. So that was my first introduction to the transformational world. And then, sales gurus like Tom Hopkins, and a mentor of mine, Art Williams from A.L. Williams, and Zig Ziglar was one of my first guys that I ever listened to. And then it just went on. And then I did all as much transformational work as I could. I'd get in and out and use the material and use the knowledge and information, and realize, okay, I'm ready. I need reminders. And so over the years, I've been in and out of, organized transformational training and taking so much of that to my the people I coach and enrolling a lot of people into transformation. I found the easiest way for me to communicate with people was to have people that had done any kind of work on themselves. It was easier to be direct, clear, and communicate straight with them. So I've built my business that way in the financial world.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing all that. I feel like there's a million things I want to ask you, but something that you hit on, you talked about having mentors, having people guiding you along the way, whether it's directly working with somebody, attending some type of training, or even just reading a book. And somebody that you mentioned, Zig Ziglar, I've read a lot of his books. I used to be in very hardcore sales myself. I'm going to botch it a bit, but he always said that the way you get what you want in your life is by helping enough people get what they want as well. And that's what I'm hearing you saying in the story of your career to this point. And for the people listening, I feel like this gets lost because we focus so much on what we want. I'm wondering what your coaching or advice would be for folks that want to get started entrepreneurially, but are maybe looking on social media for the glitz and the glamour and not about the service.
Well, there's no such thing as get rich quick. Anybody that promises that to you is a charlatan and a crook, and you should avoid them.
Mhm.
It's going to take hard work and effort and a long time. Long time meaning, really, I think 5 to 10 years is the minimum focal point of putting your efforts in, unlike anybody you know. Like if you're going to be successful in business, you're not going to be, there's nothing normal about it. So
Mhm.
you're not going to have a regular schedule and everybody's going to think you're weird and stop talking about that all the time. And why are you always working? And then as you succeed, they're going to go, well, it doesn't look like you ever work. Like, what do you do? Like it kind of like the theory of decreasing work. Like you start out working really, really hard until you get to a point where you've built a business that operates without you. I think that's the goal that we
Mhm.
all have, is to have more time and more money and more freedom to choose, right? And then if you can be in a profession where you play a role in being significant and adding to the quality of other people's lives on top of, and that's how you get what you want, is by taking care of others, which Zig said. It's just a blast. I mean, I'm 67 and I wake up every day with a passion. People go, "Oh, when are you going to retire?" I say, I already do what I want to do every day. So
Love it.
what am I retiring from? And I work and I play and I spend time with my family and I travel. And
Mhm.
fitness is important as well, and staying healthy as I can. And so I think the key is you've got to find something that you can passionately believe in and then become a master at not all of it. You don't have to be a master at all of what you're passionate about. You have to be a master at parts of it. And mentorship can fill in the voids.
Mhm.
Relationships can fill in the void. Employees or partners can fill the void. You don't have to be a master of everything. You've got to be a master of something where you become the expert and everybody knows you're the expert at that. And then you build around that. I think so.
Mhm.
That's been really that's what I've done.
So here's a question. I feel like I've spoken to a lot of people who are pursuing that type of mastery in something, but maybe they're getting some outside influence that they shouldn't be focusing on that particular thing, or maybe they don't feel it's aligned to them. What are your thoughts on sticking with something long enough to become a master at it versus dabbling a little bit to try to find maybe something that they're
Well,
passionate about?
don't stick with something you don't enjoy because you're going to be doing it every day. Okay.
Got it.
So my goal every day is to wake up and have a blast.
Mm.
Like have the day at the end of the day, put my head on the pillow and say, "Man, it was a great day. I can't wait for tomorrow." That's the goal. Now, there's going to be a lot of crap that comes in throughout the day, and you're going to have to manage those emotions and thoughts. But I think you've got to surround yourself with cheerleaders and people that have your best interests at heart. and not just the people that love you and care about you, because many times they love and care about you, but they don't know what you're passionate, what you want. And they are not. If I always say, don't take advice from people more messed up than you. Okay. So really look at the people who would give you advice and have they done some of the things you want to do.
Mhm.
And those are the people you should surround yourself with. And that's what mentorship really is about. Find somebody who's done what you want to do and have them become your best friend, have them love you. And
Mhm.
the way you get them to love you is you love them. You care about them. You show, I mean, everybody, I said it earlier, everybody's favorite subject is themselves. So I think the key is the thing to master of all the things that you can master, the skill to master is people,
Mhm.
people skills. There's a great little book by a guy named Les Giblin. And most
Ooh.
people don't know this little book. It's like $6 on Amazon, Les Giblin. And it's
Mhm.
called Skills with People. And everyone's favorite subject is themselves. And if you spend your time, and in our business, I do a lot of recruiting. So if I'm gonna, there's two ways to recruit. You can tell everybody how great what you have is, and sell them on the features and benefits of all the things that you can do for them, or you can find out what they want that they do not have, that they will not get unless they make some changes, right? And then you
Mhm.
become the solution to that change. You become
Mhm.
the answer. You be involved with helping them get what they want. So you have to find out what they want. So you find out what they want with questions. And so we use a little formula called form. And
Mhm.
form is an acronym for family. You know, tell me about your family, occupation. Tell me about what you do for a living, right? R, well, when you're not working, what do you like to do for recreation? That's R. And then M is motivation. What motivates you? What do you want? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? And I think everyone on this podcast right now really should ask themselves, what do you want? Why? And what's your plan to get it? And who are you listening to? And who are you getting mentored by? And so, but the search has to be to find something you love.
Mhm.
And I definitely did not love financial services. So that was not what attracted me to financial services. I enjoyed solving people's problems. And their financial problems were they had probably did not have a game plan for financial success. They didn't have the basics. And so I can get into that. But I mean, the basics are the right kind of insurance at the right price, the right emergency fund, the right game plan to get out of debt, and then a plan to accumulate some real assets that someday could replace you having to work, where you could generate income off of your investments. Your assets could generate income so that you're free. And so I always believed if you could build the assets, no matter what, you're going to win,
Mhm.
as long as you live long enough. Okay. And that's
Sure.
where life insurance comes in to make sure if you don't accumulate the wealth that your family's at least okay if you died prematurely. But if you could build a business while you're building assets, you actually have the opportunity to do what Robert Kiyosaki speaks about. And that's in the cash flow quadrant, he speaks about there's the employee, the self-employed, the business owner, and investor. And our whole education system teaches us to go to school and get a good job and work really hard for a company for a long time and everything will work out. And that's the employee. And he says most people find out not to be the case. And most of us are raised in families where our parents are employees. And that's kind of what we know and what's expected. Don't take the risk. And then we go do our own thing. That's the self-employed. But then if you don't work, you don't get paid. It's totally based on your own
Mhm.
effort. Then there's the business owner that focuses on building a system that operates without them having to be there. And if you don't have to be there, you can multiply your efforts and multiply and geometrically grow how fast scale the business,
Mhm.
and then that and live below your means, and that overpayment, that extra money can be invested. And if you diversify your money in many asset classes, that's what we teach, whether that's real estate or mutual funds or retirement plans or stocks or bonds or cryptocurrency or whatever that is, but it's diversified. Then eventually you're going to have that lump sum of money that will generate the income that you need to be comfortable and that you can leave to your heirs and create a legacy, create
Yeah.
generational legacy, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money. I mean, if someone accumulates $1 million, that's equal to $50,000 a year of income for life. And then you could leave the million. If you go, I can't live on 50,000, well, then you might need to accumulate 5 million. And then now you get 250,000 coming in. And when you die, the family gets the 5 million. So everybody's different. Everybody has different goals and objectives. And so that's kind of been my focus, is how could I become a business owner and an investor where I could truly have freedom and money was no income, and money and paying the bills were just not even the thought process. The thought process was, then how can I make a significant difference in other people's lives? And that's what's really kept
Mhm.
me going every day. It's the thing I enjoy, is seeing other people succeed.
Yeah. Wow. John, I'm like pumped up in the last couple of minutes just listening to you talk. And, folks, I actually can't vouch for what John is saying enough. I mean, unfortunately, I lost my last grandparent due to COVID during the pandemic, but because my grandfather had the foresight to get all of this set up, while he was alive, things
Wow.
like funeral expenses, burial costs, all those things were covered. And there's a much greater sense of financial peace and security within my family as a whole, because he set this up as a snowball over time so that it was actually a benefit to his children. And,
Wow.
I'm absolutely a follower of the gospel you're teaching, so to speak. But the thing I want to just go back to, John, if I may, you're painting an amazing picture of the possible end result for people. And you and I both know just getting started is often the hardest part,
Mm.
especially if somebody's concurrently trying to start a business or get anything going on their own. And specifically for those people who might be hearing this thinking, okay, John, this is great, but how? What are your thoughts in coaching for them?
So I've always said, if you can find a need and fill the need, you'll always make money, right? So in business,
Got it.
figure out what people need and provide it to them, right? And then if you can scale it, you make a lot of money. So I always use the example of Gerber baby food. Between 1928 and 1946, they sold 70,000 jars of baby food a year.
Mhm.
And then from 1946 to 1964, after 80 million babies were born during that time, called the baby boomers, they sold like a billion jars of food a year.
Mhm.
Like, well, why? Well, there was 80 million babies. If you were in the toy business like Mattel was, as the kids got older, you were going to sell toys. If you were in education, you were going to make money. If you were Ford and you came out with the Mustang, as the baby boomers age, they wanted nice cars.
Yep.
And once the kids, you needed Chrysler had minivans, right? So you just have to look at every demographic and figure out what product or service you want to market. So I think that's step one, is find something where the demand won't go away. Then you have to find mentorship, coaching.
Mhm.
Uh, if you go it alone, look at statistics. Why do franchises succeed? Why self-employed small business people go out of business? Why? Well, franchises have the system. They've got a
Mhm.
system. If you go to a McDonald's today, every one of you knows where the fry machine is and where the takeout window is. It's not on the right, it's on the left. You know that. We know that because they're all the same. That's why
Mhm.
teenagers can run McDonald's. They've built the business in a way that's duplicatable and transferable. You could train lots of people to do it.
Mhm.
So I think you have to. So partnerships can work, mentorship, coaching, becoming an expert and a master. Obviously, a lot of businesses require financing and money, and that's hard for a lot of people. So you may have to find a place where you learn a business from somebody else and be really great at it with them. And they'll either understand they need to pay you more to keep you, or you're going to go do it on your own. That's the
Mhm.
real world. But that would be That would be my advice. Fortunately, in my world, when I train someone to be better than me, I still get paid. So
But to your point, everybody's winning, correct? Like you've coached them to a certain level, they're winning, the people that they're serving with financial education and services are winning. And, to maybe your analogy, like it's more or less a franchise model. You're just reproducing the success.
that, yeah, yeah. Well, it comes down to if you're good at it, there's two ways to do it. You get really good at it and you hire employees to run it and you pay them well
Mhm,
enough where it runs without you. I mean, you're still there,
mhm.
but basically it runs. Or you get in a sales scenario where you can train and develop people to distribute. And then the challenge with most businesses, the very best people leave. So you have to be
Yeah.
prepared for that, and you have to design a compensation program that includes the best. If you want to
Mhm,
keep the best, you have to pay them.
mhm.
And so a lot of business owners don't understand that or see that, or their business, it doesn't matter if somebody leaves because they can be replaced and trained because the training program has been built to bring on the next one.
Mhm.
I always say to people, if you have a job and you make 100 grand a year, what can the company ask of you? And the answer is whatever they want. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that'll take your $100,000 a year job in a second if you won't do what they want you to do. So I think you really have to, again, surround yourself with mentors and coaches and be in environments where you continue to personally develop and grow and grow your skills in that expertise.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome stuff. And want to switch gears slightly here. Something that we haven't discussed, which I think is super cool about your story, John, is that you actually built this business with your family over time. Like
Yeah.
you and your wife Patty have been in business together, growing this thing from the bottom up. What has that experience been like, sharing this journey with your spouse, and how has that impacted your relationship?
Well, we're married 40 years. I was 23 and she was 19 when I started in this business.
Mhm.
And she tells the story. She said one day he came out. He says, "Look, I need you to go take a look at this business I'm looking at because I need your support. You don't need to do it, but I need you to know what I'm excited about, and that I basically look. I'm doing this with or without you, so you choose. I'm doing this, but I need to do. I need to do it with you. If we're going to be together, we need to play our roles." And
Sure.
partnerships, spout, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or parent, or a family member, or child, partnerships are all different. They all take on, there's not one size fits all. Our partnership was she did the things that I she did everything. I was like, I roped them and she cleaned up the mess. Like I roped and branded, she cleaned up the mess I stirred up. So she made sure that the relationship part was being done while I was the A-type personality running a million miles a minute forward. She made sure that that the families, that the relationships, that the people that worked in our organization knew that they were important to us. And so she was the relationship queen. That was her. She was not an administrator. And she never did. She got her licenses in insurance and investments, but never really used them. They're simply, if I pass, she inherits, right? If she's licensed. So the role of us being every day aligned together where we were going and planning and this goal of building a business that would run without us and building assets and saving money and doing the right things with our finances. That was unbelievable. And then as we raised the kids, we had time to be with them. She had unlimited time to be with them because our business was making us enough money that gave her complete freedom. And then I was able to be there when I needed to be there. And now my son, Zach, is in business with me now for a
Mhm.
decade. And it's unbelievable. And he's really allowed me now a lot of freedom to not do all the nitty gritty stuff that I always had to do. Right. And so someday he'll inherit the business. And so a family business that's built right can be passed on for generations. And
Mhm.
it's really cool to know my grandkids can be rewarded financially from the business we build if we continue to do things the right way, and
Yeah.
so that was all, that became really important to me.
Yeah. And I just want to follow up because you're clearly in charge of a family business that worked, right? And there's a lot of advice out there, a lot of horror stories, blah, 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 like don't hire your family, don't go into business with family. What do you feel
Yeah.
like worked for you that set your business apart as a success story versus a statistic?
Well, it's a daily work because my wife is not me and my son is not me. I'm me.
Mhm,
I do what I do. For me
mhm.
to expect them to do what I do is not fair. They're going to have to
Got
find
it.
their role. And I think the hardest thing about family businesses is parents expect too much from their kids in some cases. Not that they shouldn't, but our kids aren't us. And
Mhm,
so I think that's where the conflict comes when you're expecting certain things and there's these unmet expectations that aren't even fair necessarily. We built such a successful business and such a successful lifestyle. I'm just blessed that he wants to do it with me, that I get to do it with
mhm,
him and that he's good at it. But he didn't have to grind like I have to grind. I had to grind. I mean, I had nothing, zero.
mhm, mhm.
So I had to grind for every day just to survive. It was every single day. I had to figure out what do I need to do to pay the bills, to keep the lights on, to keep the
Sure.
creditors away until this thing works, right?
Mhm,
And that's the grind of an entrepreneur. So we
mhm,
can't expect that from our kids. So I think that's what's worked is that we let them find their roles and then support that, and
mhm.
truly let them participate in the success of the business.
So knowing that entrepreneurialism is a grind, it is on you, you're putting it on your back each and every day to make it happen.
Yeah.
Is entrepreneurship for everybody, or is it something you gotta be wired for in your experience?
It's not for everybody. No, not for everybody. Uh, and don't take this wrong, but in today's world, I think a lot of the millennials and the X and Y generation, I think that their values are different maybe than ours were. I think having most of us, we got a job and then our life revolved around it. Okay.
Yeah.
In today's world, I think everybody wants the opposite. They want to have a life they choose and create, and then their way of earning income revolves around it.
Mhm,
So it's life value centered, focused, as opposed to work focused. It's
mhm,
people want that, and technology has allowed people to accomplish things in shorter periods of time. So I mean, I think everybody's different. I think you got to find, my goal is for every one of my associates to be super successful. The
mhm.
key is that they have to be the one to define what success is to them.
Yes.
And then I have to help them get that
Mhm,
and know that if I do that, some of them may do better than I ever did, which would
mhm,
it's really what I want. So I think we have to define what is success.
mhm,
And then we have to build towards that. And the grind early on, it wasn't even a grind. It was a grind as I look back, it was. But to me at the time, it was just a game. It was a
mhm,
sport.
mhm.
There were fundamentals you had to get good at, and then you had to understand that doing them over and over and over again and not allowing the monotony to bore you to death where you're changing things all the time was the key. Find what works and then do it over and over relentlessly until you've developed some other key components where it can run without you having to do it all yourself. And so that's that. My grind was how do I duplicate? How do I create a process that people can learn quickly without me?
Mhm.
And I still work on that today because now we're doing everything on Zoom. So now I had to
Sure.
create new processes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I acknowledge you for, shifting actually over 4 decades of shifting and shifting and shifting again in order to rehone and re-maneuver the business to not only keep up with the advances of technology, but also socioeconomic shifts and things like that, because you never know when a global pandemic is going to hit and how that's either A, going to impact what you're up to, whether it be business or anything else, but also the opportunities that it provides. I mean,
yeah.
call me crazy, but I'm sure you can probably get more meetings done through Zoom. Am I right?
So the pandemic taught us that I could do business from the beach in Margate City, New Jersey
Hmm.
in the summer, and the country club living in West Palm Beach in the winter. I learned, so that's where I live now. Those are the two places I live. Now that the pandemic's is over, I'm moving, getting a place back in Philly near the office. So I want to be back in the office. And so I think there's a balance. And what's happened is a lot of our sales calls can take place on Zoom.
Hmm.
But as far as building relationships and mentorship and young people being around mentors to really learn, you can't really do that on Zoom because it's an hour or two in a day. And to really learn a business, you've got to watch the mentor or the owner operate for hours, for
Hmm.
days, to get the little nuggets and the experience and to be able to watch them operate. And you can't do that on Zoom. So what I've found is Zoom is amazing for certain parts of aspects of the business, but in the area of leadership development, not so good. So
Got it.
we've really got more of a high, for me, our business is becoming more and more of a hybrid. Those personal meetings, the personal times when everybody's together. So that's why I think a lot of businesses are going back to like 2 days a week or 3 days a week at the office and then the rest from home. And they're finding their mix. And I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Got it. Love your opinion on that one. And I want to go back to the topic of success because I feel like it's still relevant here. Things are changing over time. We've been talking about it for the last several minutes. Something that you, I'm sure, have experienced is that as you are recruiting folks for the business, you're recruiting people all different walks of life, backgrounds, things like that. Does it ever get harder to support people in defining what success looks like for them in terms of maybe being further and further removed from the younger generations of folks you're bringing in?
Well, the problem, it wouldn't be a problem if they wouldn't quit.
Tell me more.
People quit on themselves.
Mhm.
Look, this is recruiting and training and development or building a business and bringing people into your business is truly a numbers game because there's no test that we can give a person to determine their heart and how hard they're willing to work and the intangibles, their integrity, their work ethic, their people skills, their ability to learn quickly and implement, keeping their word, all of these things. It's like people say, hey, I want to get in shape. You go to you can go sign up for the gym. You know how many people sign up for the gym and are paying memberships monthly for a gym they never go to because they may want to start back up but when they signed up, they had every intent of getting in shape and losing weight and being flexible and fit and strong. That was their intent. And but if you tell the coach, okay, here's what I want, the coach says, okay, well, you're gonna have to be here 3 times a week and work out with me. You're gonna have to eat this diet. You're gonna have to get this kind of rest, and then you'll get in 6 months. I can show you those results you want. But what percentage of the population follows through with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if in the gym world, if they base their success based on the number of people that actually succeeded, that would be a failure. They have a different measurement. It's called how many memberships, right?
Mhm.
Um, Even though they want people to be in shape, that's the goal. It's the same thing in our business. I want people to be successful, but I can't want it for you more than you want it for you.
Yep.
And so my job is to sort through large numbers of people to find out who has those intangibles so that I can choose to mentor people that deserve it, not those that I want it more for them than they want it for themselves.
Mhm.
That's the hardest work I have.
Sure. And quick follow-up question. Definitely hear what you say. You can't want it for somebody more than they want it for themselves. Is there ever something, or has there ever been a time, excuse me, where you were able to get somebody to like flip the light switch on for themselves, or is that just impossibly rare?
No, I think that's rare. I think you could be an example of success.
Sure.
You can lead by example. You can't motivate anybody to success. You can't say there's no line or phrase. It's they have to see you doing it. They have to see you being the real deal. You're the real deal. Now that person that knows you're the real deal says to themselves, you know what? This guy or gal is the real deal. Like they keep coming through over and over again. They do what they say they're going to do. They're very driven. They're very motivated. They've got clear goals. They have a great life. I'd like to be like them.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm going to start doing what they tell me to do. So someone can flip a switch, say, you know what? I'm going to start listening and
Yeah.
acting on the coaching. I'm going to actually get coached and then do what they're telling me to do instead of listening to the coaching, nodding, acting like I'm listening, and then go about and doing half cock what I want to go do. Okay. And that's what most people do. Most people are not coachable, but those that are become very successful almost every single time in sports and in business alike.
Yeah. And maybe just to double down on what you're saying, the way that I think about it and the way that I coach people in the life coaching sense is you are the sole and uncontested author of your own life. You are constantly writing the story of your life. And do you want to be writing a story where the main character, who is you, is very ho hum, non committal, not standing for anything? Or are you going to go all in? And maybe it doesn't turn into a 44-year business for you personally, but at least you went for something. And
Right.
by going for something and standing with it, like standing through the fire of all the moments that suck, like not only will you get some wins, but you'll get some amazing life experience along the way. You know what I'm
So,
saying?
so accurate. Oh, 1,000%. There's no losing. There's only
Mhm.
lessons,
Yes.
right? So, you are the accumulation of the choices that you make
Mhm.
over and over and over again, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you're writing the story every day by the choices you make and the actions you take. And that's too much. You asked earlier, are some people not cut out to be an entrepreneur? Absolutely, there are people not cut out for it. There's many people that are much better off going to work and somebody having them tell them exactly what to do and doing that job as well as they have to get their paycheck because that company's only paying you enough to keep you. And most employees are doing enough to look like they're doing what's needed. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
but then when you're not working, then you've got your life you can go live. Okay. I would just say to those of you that fit that category, just live below your means and sock your money away. Use the 401k at work,
Mhm.
get up to the match,
Mhm.
use Roth IRAs, use mutual funds. Today, I believe you should allocate a percentage of your money to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay. I mean, I believe that. I'm a financial advisor. I don't get paid to
Yeah.
tell you.
Oh yeah.
I think that. And not now, some young people, that's where all their money is. I don't think that's smart either. Okay. Although it's looking smarter and smarter with the approval of a spot ETF that can be bought, at a broker dealer. Pretty amazing times, but make sure you're saving your money and you're creating a safety net of a nest egg. And then do what you need to do to be happy, right? I started out. What makes you happy is what's important.
Mm.
And if some people can't, it's just not being an entrepreneur is not their gig. That's okay. Then be a great second. How about be a great support role for an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
right? And take pride in that. So I really believe that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard it said on a lot of other shows with great entrepreneurs, like, know what you are the most cut out for, because if you kill it in your role, you can still do really well as a W-2 earner, like somebody making W-2 income as an employee. But I think what I want to make sure people are taking away is Jon is in no way saying there's anything shameful about not being an entrepreneur, but whatever you are doing, just go in it with your full heart, full intention, max it out because you owe it for yourself and your life, to make the most of your time here on this earth. And Jon,
yeah,
I wish we had another hour, but I want to make sure we at least hit this, and then I got one more question for you before we sign out. want to make sure that we talk specifically about Lavin Financial Group. Obviously, you are founder, CEO, doing the thing. You built it from the ground up, and you've helped thousands of people create greater financial literacy and security for themselves. We've kind of been hitting on it all throughout this conversation, but what do you want to make sure people know about what you're up to and how you can help them?
So, wow, great question. Thank you. So I think the reason our company's been successful is because what we market and what we teach when it comes to financial literacy, in my opinion, is accurate and should be taught in schools.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we're not taught about money in school. There's no money 101, personal finance 101, it's just not taught. And as a result of this financial illiterate society that we live in, you are either learning it from your parents because it was important to them, or you're taking it on personally to really learn how to do the right things with your money. So that is the reason I have a business at all, is because at the core, there's a value proposition called, in my world, it's called buy term life insurance and invest your money. Which means, and this could be opposite of what somebody else says, and it's okay, they have their opinion too, as opposed to buying life insurance to be your own banker or to buy life insurance with a savings account. We teach people to do not do that unless it's an estate planning scenario where you need insurance till you're 125 years old to pay taxes or to leave an estate for your kids so you can spend down all your money. Other than that, buy inexpensive life insurance until your kids are grown and out on their own, build an emergency fund that's separate from that, save and accumulate in retirement plans. The best is a Roth IRA. And people will say to me all the time, why I can't, if I need my money, I can't get it out of there. Yes, you can. A Roth IRA allows you to withdraw every dollar you put in. It's the gains that must stay there. And make sure you've got a plan to get out and eliminate and crush debt. Be very clear on what your debt freedom date is. Have a will, have a will or a trust, and have a budget, and have a coach, and have a guide. Have an advisor. So that's what we do. Now, on the other side, I train and develop people to do that for other people, part-time and full-time. And so our success has been the part-time piece, that people are able to get involved in our business without a full-time commitment. And in today's world, that's working very well remote from home anywhere in the US. And so that's what we've built our business today, is much more built around the convenience of work from home. And so we're attracting a lot of stay-at-home moms and dads and people that are tired of driving hours in traffic. And so, and then what I develop people to be is brokers and owners to run their own business if they choose to do that. Now, that's a much bigger commitment, obviously, but so that's what we're about. And I have partners in business that are publicly traded companies that support us and finance us. And I think that's the other thing as a business owner. It's very important that you have that you're not trying to do everything. You can't be everything to everybody. Find your niche, what you're good at. And there's a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It's a great book. And he talks about be good at what you're good at, and then make sure you have support around you, because you can't do it all. You'll burn out. So I've been very fortunate to partner with an amazing company. Primerica is the company that has been in the background, like powered by. They do everything. I run my business, but they supply all the admin and products and money and legal and support and all that. So I've been freed up to do what I do. And I feel very fortunate to have found that. So if you can find partners, that's what franchises, that's why they work,
Yeah.
Partnerships work. So.
And how can people get in contact with you or anybody at Lavin Financial?
LavinFG.com. Okay. That's one way. And there's information there. You can contact me directly at jonlavin@me.com. So that's JONLAVIN@me.com. My son Zach's in the business. We are both working diligently to help people learn. You can call me or text me, 610-662-0662. My new number, 610-662-0662. I know there's a lot of sixes in it. And we're available to answer any questions that any of you might have. It would be a privilege. So thank you for allowing me to do a little ad. That was nice. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, John. I mean, you're in the business of helping people, which is what this show's about. Like, that's what this is for. And folks, we're going to make sure that all of the contact info John just provided is readily available in the show notes and in the descriptions wherever you are catching this podcast episode. So, if you are interested in learning what this could look like for you to start your own business, definitely reach out because John is the master at not only creating a business, but creating one that is genuinely out there supporting people in, creating the type of security that many of us only dream of, but he's here to help you make it a reality. And John, I know that we're out of time. This is the final question I ask every single guest on the show. And so I want to make sure, you're no different. What are you acknowledging yourself for today?
Wow. Um, Hard work, perseverance, living to be the best version of me that I can be, totally committed to self-improvement and personal growth. I mean, every day I'm listening to podcasts, every single day still. I'm acknowledging myself for doing the transformational work that I've done to realize that I didn't have my act together like I thought I did. And I wasn't all that. I'm just another human being like everybody else. And to get off my high horse and come down to earth, right? Just be a regular person. So I think that's probably right now the thing I'm most proud of is that I've really humbled myself to realize I'm very fortunate to be at the place I am. I made some of the right choices. I'm around a lot of the right people, and happy to be healthy enough to enjoy it, and don't take that for granted. That every single day is a blessing. So I acknowledge that I am living life to its fullest right now.
Amen to that, sir. Thank you
And I
so
got a
much
good
for
golf game. I'm going to acknowledge myself. I'm still a 2 handicap. So that's pretty good.
you're a lot better than me, John. I'm still lucky if I make contact when I'm driving. But folks, this has been another episode of Your Inside Track to Success. Again, we're on every Wednesday. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so that you get updates as well for when new episodes do come out. Again, I have been your host, Stewart Kraintz. We will catch you next week.